Hi. 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 A lot of people have asked me how I stay alive. As a professional alive person, I wonder that all the time also. I realized that this video might be a bit depressing, and so I brought some flowers to cheer us up. So, I've heard once that I am an expert at almost dying, which means that I happen to be an expert also in the art of living. And over the years, I've thought long and hard on exactly how I am still alive. And here are some tips. First, become even more of a dark black void than the dark black void within you. This doesn't require much strength actually, it just requires some stubbornness and determination. And there's some theory behind it as well. But I'm not an elitist in the art of staying alive, so it's okay if you don't know the theory. Basically, if you don't know, the theory is that as long as you don't die, you're still alive. You know, a lot of people take this for granted. A lot of people take this job for granted, and they see me alive and they're just like, oh, she's just doing her thing. Actually, no. I'm not just doing my thing. I'm staying alive. I'm staying the fuck alive. A lot of people don't understand how much stamina it takes. I think here's the thing. It doesn't take much strength. I have no muscle mass. I got hit by a car earlier this month, so I have even less muscle mass than I did before, so I'm pretty much non-existent currently. I don't even know how my skin is being held together by my brittle bones. You don't need much strength. You just need stamina and grit and pure resentment. Oftentimes we're taught that resentment is a bad emotion, but actually, as the staying alive expert, I'm here to tell you that resentment is in fact necessary for survival. Here's an example. I went to the grocery store and I was trying to pick out the perfect red pepper, and I picked one up and I was looking at it and I wondered, should I die? And then I remembered all the times that someone has wronged me, and I remembered, oh yeah, that's right, I can't die yet. And so that day I stayed alive. Another key ingredient to staying alive is embarrassment. I mentioned a bit earlier that I got hit by a car 2 weeks ago. It was fun. It was an interesting experience, but it was also extremely embarrassing because as I was hit by the car, I was like, oh shit, I'm getting hit by a car. And I was getting carried over by the car, and I was like, oh wow, this is really happening to me. And I landed on the ground, and I think I was sussing out my body and whether I would actually die or not. And I couldn't breathe. And I must admit, in that moment, I was hoping that I would live. I know. It's embarrassing, you don't need to tell me. But you do need that embarrassment once in a while. Like in New York, when I was there this past summer, I rode a roller coaster in Coney Island called the Cyclone, and I don't know how that roller coaster is still running because I almost fell out of my seat at least 5 times throughout that ride, and I was hanging on for dear life. It was pathetic. And then I remembered, oh, I want to live like really bad. I felt like a hypocrite. I was ashamed. I was embarrassed. But then I was like, you know what? If I'm hanging on this tight and I still have this burning desire to live, then that must mean that I'm meant to be alive. So I kept on living after that, and here I am. I also think that, you know, on a similar vein with resentment, spite goes a long way as well. So I recommend hold grudges for as long as possible, because that shit will keep you breathing and your heart pumping. It helps if you have some animals in your life. This is some practical advice. I know it might be boring, but it helps to have something that you need to take care of. Otherwise, you will come back as a ghost and be bound to this earth, chained by guilt of leaving behind a helpless animal. And just imagine that animal missing you for the rest of their life, wondering where you went. Thinking of that makes me want to kill myself, but you know, I'm not going to. I know that, like, for a lot of you who have lived through hard times, everything kind of just feels really funny, and you're like, what is even the point in all of this? Like, what is the point? I might as well just die. Like, yes, but also like no. But I'm like a bit biased because I'm giving you advice on how to stay alive. And I am a staying alive expert, so just take my advice with a grain of salt. But based on my experience, I would say that staying alive gives you power, because the narrative is still in your fucking hands, baby. You can't let anyone take away that power from you, as long as you're damn alive. You know, I'd be lying if I look at all these flower petals falling. Maybe it's a metaphor for something that I'm not getting at the moment. Also, it helps you discover things that you wouldn't have otherwise discovered, you know, if you were dead. Because, yeah, I mean, that's pretty self-explanatory. For instance, I learned today that you can export Word documents into JPEG form, and I would have never known that had I died a few months ago. What's another thing I learned? I wouldn't have known that thunderstorms are purple. I wouldn't have known a lot of things, like how it feels like to be hit by a car. And I wouldn't have known the joy of being an attention whore had I died earlier on. So just revel, just revel in your beauty and spitefulness and whatnot, because there will always be something that you've never heard of, something that you've never smelled, something that you've never touched, something that has never provoked annoyance within the depths of your heart, and you will never get to experience any of those things if you die right now. If you die right now, I think that's it, like, for now, and then you start over again, I think, which would be horrid. So while you're here, just try your best. Just try your best to, here, let me show you what can be done if there's literally no hope and you're like, I must die tonight. Here's what you can do. Well, first, call someone. Second, if that does not work, you can do this. I don't see anything. Count to 3. 1, 2, 3. Everything is still the same. And then you go to bed. And the next morning when you wake up, you might have some horrible dreams and you might wake up in a full-on panic attack. And then it's kind of like a loop from there. But, you know, as long as it's a loop, that means you're staying alive. And remember, I'm giving advice on how to stay alive. I recommend risky behavior if it's safe enough that you stay alive. I recommend taking walks in dark areas, preferably the woods, but like a bit close to the road. So if there's a park or something, like venture inwards and like be a little scared, but like stay close to civilization, because if you go in too far, it's like actually scary. I would also recommend bird watching and naming the birds in your neighborhood. Guys, this is really important. Growing attachments to objects and animals and flowers and plants and random bricks lying around on the road, it really helps ground you and reminds you that that things exist, and so do you. So I don't know if this was helpful at all. I know I stay alive because I'm not exactly entirely sure why. You know, people might think I'm super edgy, but I'm really not edgy, guys. I am literally the most wholesome person on planet Earth. I'm overflowing with love constantly. I'm very soft and warm inside, and I love everybody. I am just very done, and I am very tired, and I just know better, I think, because I cannot fathom living life and not wanting to die at least once. So it's normal. If you want to die, it's normal. Just like, don't. Honestly, I don't fully know the reason why not to, but I'm here because I don't know, and I'm trying to figure it out, I guess. I think spite plays a big role. So just always remember to be spiteful, because it will keep you around to see your grandkids. And you know what? If you don't want kids, I think you're right. Not because of you, but just like, why would you want kids? But yeah, like, if that's something that makes you want to stick around for a bit longer, then why not? Think of a hot, sexy baby girl coming up to you one day and flirting with you, holding your hand, kissing you on the cheek, even on the lips, maybe even on the forehead. Like, what? That is something that could totally happen to you at any point in time. But if you die right now, if you die today, then you will never, ever, ever experience that ever in this life until you're born again, and then who knows? Life isn't all just pretty and positive and nice, and not everyone is going to be sweet all the time. You're not going to be sweet all the time. You're going to fuck up, and you're going to be fucked up, and you're going to just have a miserable time from time to time, if not most of the time. But just know that you're hot as fuck, and your presence makes people melt in a puddle of pleasant goo. And if you have nobody in your life to turn into puddles of goo for you, hit me up and I can turn into a puddle of goo once in a while, maybe once a month if you need. Yes, we are all alone in this life. Even when you're surrounded by people, you are indeed alone. But like, really, like, dig into that, like, dig into the loneliness, like, explore that shit, and you find a lot of interesting things, and like a lot of shiny things too. It's like a cave that no one wants to go inside because they're scared, but once you're inside, it's like, wow, it's kind of lovely here. Like the ASMR, the water droplets and the glimmer of jewels like hidden in the walls of the cave, and nobody else knows about it because they're so busy living their lives, distracted as hell. But you're in the cave and you're like, everything sucks, but also like, how beautiful is life? And then you end up staying alive for like another month or so, and then like, you know, it's a cycle. So anyway, I don't know if you can tell that I'm such an expert and I have so much knowledge, but I do. And just last night I was having a crisis, and yeah, it also helps to be super hot. These aren't these look like pubes, but they're flower petals, trust me. It helps to wear sweater and shorts in gloomy weather because I think it's a rare combination. It helps to be fucking angry and be sad and be miserable, and then you just come out the other end. And look at my toes. If you don't feel like eating, don't eat, girl. No one's forcing you to eat. If you don't feel like sleeping, don't fucking sleep. Stay up. See what happens. Experiment. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to be healthy. You just do you for now. And then it'll pass like a huge wave. And once it passes, then you will find a circle of calmness. And when that circle of calmness arrives in your heart and starts radiating, that's when you can get up to eat and use the washroom, pee and poo, do whatever you gotta do, shower. Shower, which like showering is such a complex task. If you get to the point of showering, it's like you might as well be God. You might as well be Jesus. You can also like go outside, because that's a thing. Isn't it crazy that the outside just forever permanently remains to be a thing? You can go outside and like breathe in like new air. You can like touch parts of you and remember that you're a human being with like body parts, and like try to like have a sip of water and feel it travel down your organs. It's like pretty trippy, and it's like distracting too from like all the misery, you know. Go to a bakery because it smells good, and just like stand outside with your face pressed against the window or whatever, and just like sniff. Or I guess you could just go inside like a normal person. You would just go inside a bakery and like sniff the bread if you don't have money to get bread. If you have money to get bread, get the fucking bread. You deserve some artisan bread when you're depressed. Bring it home, cut that shit up, and like feed it to the birds. You don't even have to eat it. Like no one's telling you to do anything. But you can also eat it, and that would be good because it's like nutritious. And I always have to remember that nutrients also keeps me alive, so just like write that down somewhere. Put it on like a mirror or something so you see it every day. And you know what, if you never get to any of those things and you're just rotting in your room, that's perfectly fine too. We're all rotting away and tunneling towards death at all times. We just forget sometimes, and people who aren't sad are still rotting away and tunneling towards death. They are just happy while doing it. So it's only that difference, and you are so like, you're perfect. And like, you know what, even if you look ugly and gross and like you're sweaty and like you haven't taken a bath in like years, or like, okay, let's be a bit more like, let's say you haven't showered in like a month or maybe more, or like you haven't brushed your teeth in a while, that is like not that weird, honestly. And you just keep trucking along, because even the fact that you're like breathing right now, like it's terrific. So yeah, I hope that this helped. I am an unpaid expert. This is all volunteer work that I'm doing. I'm not sure why. I guess I'm just like so good-hearted that I just give away my free advice for the world to consume. But if you think I'm pretty, then please tell me in the comments, because that is a huge part of what keeps me alive, is people telling me that I'm pretty. Yeah. Let me bless you with all these lovely flower petals that look slightly like pubes from a distance. Hi! This is my kimchi fridge. Also, just as a general tip, doing your nails helps.